Hello, my name is Matthew Ostick, and I will be doing an overview of Gap Inc. I will be discussing the statement of cash flows and underlining the strengths and weaknesses. So our first line of review is looking at the 10K report provided by the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, for 2024. I was able to comprise the major sources of cash. Dividing it up into the three categories: operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. We start with operating activities. Net income, which is the cash collections for the sales of the merchandise, and depreciation and amortization. In investing activities, net proceeds from insurances and net proceeds from divestitures activities. Also, with financing activities, repayment of revolving credit facility, and cash dividends. All right, moving forward, the major uses of cash by Gap Inc. According to the MD&A section, under item 7, we find the major uses of cash are as follows. For operating activities, personnel-related expenses, shipping costs, which can be due to e-commerce or logistics of merchandise distribution systems, or merchandise inventory. Investing activities will include purchases of property and equipment and payment of acquisition activities. And that's going to be pertaining to Gap purchasing other companies or merchants or etc. Financing activities, we have the foreign exchange rate, which shows that Gap is now a global company and has acquired for a wider band of distribution. The other one under financing activities is leases and occupation cost. In this category, it's going to be more towards the principal because the way you dice it up, lease and occupancy costs can also be categorized in operating activities if it's payment towards um, the interest. But we're going to put this in towards the principal, which the majority of it's going towards, and that's going to be in financing activities. All right, next we'll be discussing the differences between net income and the cash provided by operations. Here, the net income for Gap Inc. is $502 million, and the cash provided by the ops activities is $1.532 billion. The net income does not account for the adjustments, and these are the costs. And those won't be included in the net income, and therefore there's less understanding on the breakdown of how the cash flow is being utilized. Operating activities inquires more depth on how the cash flow is used to maintain working capital requirement, or WCR. An increase in WCR means a decrease in net income. As we know, Gap Inc. is a large retailer here in the United States, and I'm going to go over a couple of the strengths that they've had shown through their 10K statement of cash flows. The first one is their net cash for operating activities was 1.532 billion in 2024 fiscal year. That is a large improvement from years prior. So it's a good indicator that the business is doing financially better than in previous years. These are increases in cash and cash equivalents from the previous years. Three, there hadn't been any repurchased common stock. The benefits to this, it shows investors that they can have confidence in the business and that that Gap is has financial flexibility and they're not against the ropes financially, which companies will utilize in repurchasing common stock. Fourth strength that I have listed here is going over the accounts payable increase from 2022 to 2023 from a negative 540 million to a positive 42 million, respectfully. This drastic change in accounts payable shows that the company is in a state of growth or expansion, and this will indicate a little bit more prosperity within the company. Um, Again, this information was grabbed from SEC for their 10K report. All right, lastly, we want to discuss the weaknesses of the Gap Inc. First one I listed here is pressures for repayment on loans can create strain. Gap has repaid $350 million in 2023 on credit facilities. This was something they had done in prior years, and they're now making that payment for that loan. Um, which is paying off well for them. So I kind of see this as uh, it's a weakness, but it's also an investment back into their company. Number two, I also found that the loss of $202 million in net income uh, that transpired indicates that there is a disruption in cash flow. From 2021, it was positive, and then you get a loss here in 2022, and then in 2023, we get another positive. So there is a fluctuating balance there from year to year. This as indicator for investors that there should be some concern about their stability, whether this is going to be a short-term gain or loss is still to be determined. Profitability in the company would be needing more analysis. But what we can gather from the statements of cash flows, these would be the biggest weaknesses that we can find in accordance to those reports and those statements. This concludes the presentation on Gap Inc. and their strengths and weaknesses through the statements of cash flows. Thank you.